Hey guys, welcome back to this channel at alliseeisW, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. Today, I wanted to create this video to just give you an overview on a Bitcoin mining company that is Riot Platform, ticker RIOT, and why I believe Riot is such an extremely undervalued stock currently at this price range, especially with the price of Bitcoin surpassing $100,000 on December 4th. There's so much market sentiment going on right now, and most of us are wondering, where should we be putting our money in? Should we be buying? Should we be selling? Why is that the miners are underperforming compared to other companies like MicroStrategy, MSTR? We'll go more into details as to whether companies like Riot and other miners, are they a better buy than MSTR? Congratulations to all the MSTR investors. The overall stock price, it went up for the year to date. It went up to about 800% on gains, and we've seen MSTR. There's a lot of profit taking going on right now. So I do think that with MSTR, it's been overvalued in the sense that now profit takers are moving, shifting their profits, putting their hedge on different sectors. And that's the Bitcoin mining sector, I believe. And especially with the Bitcoin bull rally happening now, especially with the post-halving in April, I think that we're going to look very good heading into the new year. But we'll look at the data. Let's look at the technicals and the fundamental analysis. So I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Please make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and we'll get more into the fundamentals and technical analysis here. So first off, let's take a look at the overall technicals here. So we're looking at Riot Platform. So at the end of Friday, it went up to hovering right below the $13 range where it went up by about 5%. Now, just looking at the overall price here, we have some lines here, but I just wanted to just go back in history here. So just to give you some context on what's going on here. So back when we had the Bitcoin rally in 2017, that started in December timeframe. So you see the relative strength index here. I mean, Riot pumped all the way up to like the $45 at that time. Granted, there was less shares at that time, so we see heavy movement here. We see that the RSI, it ran all the way up to like 90 here. So it blew off some steam, and then it took 1, 2, 3 years up until 2021. We saw that bull rally happen again, where price of Bitcoin is shot all the way up to close to 70,000, right? And that's what's attributed to this high point here, getting close to like $80 here, as you see with the price of Riot Platform. So going through this here, 3 years time frame to get to another high peak RSI being overbought at this time. Now, that's just from the technicals. And as we look more towards the current state, just based on relative strength index, 1, 2, 3, 4 years now. Okay. Granted, we have more competitors, we have more dilution taking place, so we have to factor that in. However, just based on historical trend here, I think that we've been consistently in the low RSI here, and it hasn't really been overbought. But I think that especially with Bitcoin rally happening, and it historically lasts until like Q2 of 2025. If we follow the 2017 and the 2021 trend for Bitcoin bull rally, then the bull rally may continue up through April just based on historical data here. So I'm looking at it through the lens of momentum, just signals from the relative strength index here. And we're looking at just the overall cloud from the Bollinger Bands here. I set a resistance here at like 29, but I do think that overall we shall see some increase in the RSI, getting up to like 85. And what does that mean? That's going to drive the overall price up. I think in the near term, we shall see in December. I'm thinking in December, it's going to break through the I'm going to set December time point like at 18 at a minimum here. But as we hover into the new year, I think that the set point to me is going to be around that 28 range there, just setting it at the prior resistance when it was like half of what we saw of 2021. So that is where I have that reasonable set price of like $28 just based on overall market sentiment with the amount of available shares. All in all, the market capital for Riot will go up near term December. I'm setting that price range at like the 18, $19 range. We carry over into the new year, January onward. I'm seeing that set point of like 28 onward. But depending on how fast the RSI grows up, we can easily see this gap up even further, breaking through the 30 range here, and well into the 40s. But it's all based on the signals that we see in the market sentiment. I think that especially as we go through the fundamentals data with Riot platforms, with their rollout of Corsicana and upgrading their miner fleets, we can see huge run-ups, especially with their mining capabilities increasing and improving on their operational efficiencies. We'll get more into those details, but I just wanted to give you some context here. So on X here, so I left a comment here, and if you're not following me on X and you use X, please follow me at all I see is W here. But I'm stating that Riot might reach $18 minimum before it starts climbing to 28 upside in early 2025. Bullish signals with Golden Cross and RSI remaining consistently low, signaling upcoming bullish stock movement with the Bitcoin rally happening. So just showing you, giving you some flavor there on what my price target is, with Riot. Now, I just wanted to share with you an article from Yahoo here, in that this article is talking about Riot being like one of the best Bitcoin blockchain stocks to buy right now. But let's try to understand why this is the case. So we know that Donald Trump, he's talked about his plans for making America the crypto capital of the world, being the superpower workhorse for reserving Bitcoin. And a lot of countries are following through on that right now. China, Brazil, Europe, India, all these companies are trying to get onto Bitcoin as a hedge, part of game theory to demonstrate their power in acquiring Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is now the virtual golden commodity. If you think about it, it's similar to gold, but you just don't have it as a physical form. But all of that is all accounted for on the blockchain. With SEC replacement, getting out the old, bringing in the new, I think that is really what's driving up the confidence and the overall shift with our leader, Donald Trump, now deregulating crypto. And that's what most investors want to hear. And ultimately, just with the price of Bitcoin, right? I mean, just 80,000. I mean, yes, Bitcoin can get down. It can have a correction once it breaks through like 110, 120,000 down at a 20% drop. That'll be at 90,000. But I think the support level for Bitcoin has changed significantly compared to what we saw with the prior administration. And with Trump's victory, you have other altcoins like Dogecoin, you have Musk running the Doge government efficiency. All of that's really going to work in tandem with the rise in Bitcoin. And that's why we saw Bitcoin rising, especially early November and heading into December. Now, I think Bitcoin, there's estimates that Bitcoin, there's a clear path to get to 200,000 in 2025. And we know the inauguration is about 45 days away here. So I think with the ETFs, that's also demonstrating that Roth, Vanguard, all these financial institutions buying up Bitcoin, creating ETFs so that normal investors can get into Bitcoin ETCs. That really stamps the validity of Bitcoin and sort of reduces the volatility from a risk standpoint. And I think overall, the shift with Bitcoin, I think people now believe in Bitcoin. Before, there was a lot of speculation, not really understanding what Bitcoin is all about. But I think that's really changed now. The branding has taken off here. And even Federal Chair Jerome Powell, he called Bitcoin a competitor for gold, not the US dollar, negating the stance of crypto fans who see Bitcoin as a possible replacement at a dollar. But that's still up for discussion. Overall, I think this digital asset, Bitcoin surpassing 100,000, that's really going to show more bullish sentiment on seeing the climb of the Bitcoin price. And what does that mean? That's going to then have us start looking at all of the companies that may add value to their balance sheet that may benefit from the rise in Bitcoin. Riot, their whole business model is all based on Bitcoin methodologies. So they are a leading vertically integrated Bitcoin mining and digital infrastructure company where they have mining data centers across Texas, at Rockdale, Corsicana, Kentucky, while the electrical switchgear engineering and fabrication operations are in Denver and Colorado. So they primarily operate from two business segments. Bitcoin mining and engineering after terminating their data center hosting business. But now there's talks about how they may have HPC into their business model using the remaining megawatts at Corsicana with the 600 megawatts that they could leverage to use that for other pathways in their business. So, with a strong vision to be the world's leading Bitcoin-driven infrastructure, Riot serves as the industry leader with Bitcoin mining and their engineering services. Now, with their overall self-mining hash rate capacity, they're planning on getting close to about 35 exahash end of year, which is coming up very soon here. And overall, they have 590 million in working capital, 355 million in cash, and they hold on to 190 million security equities. We'll look more into the details on their production data with November and what all that means here. But just during the third quarter, with the Bitcoin halving, they were able to maintain low power costs. So with Riot, they have a low cost operational efficiency. So they're able to mine Bitcoin at a fixed cost, low cost compared to other Bitcoin miners. They have low debt ratio, which is good in that when you look at the balance sheet, they have lots of cash on hand liquidity, including the number two Bitcoin reserve. They have about a hodl of like 11,000 Bitcoin behind Mara, and CleanSpark is behind Riot. Although Riot has a higher throughput with month-to-month mining of Bitcoin. So you have to factor that in overall. But the good news is that Riot is a number two right behind Mara when it comes to how much Bitcoin they have on their balance sheet. Overall, they've been improving significantly with their hash rate. So in the month of October, their hash rate went up by about 27%. And in November, they were able to mine 495 Bitcoin, which is consistent with what we saw in the prior month of October. So that's good. We see consistency. We see continuous deployment with the rise in the hash rate. And I think once they establish their building in Corsicana with additional sites, I think that's really going to ramp up their production with their average Bitcoin produced per day when they have the additional buildings set up. So here we're looking at announcement from Riot back in December 3rd, just to show you how much Bitcoin was produced. So a year ago, they were able to mine 552. Now, the good news is that a year later, November, they were able to pump out the similar numbers a little less. Of course, with the overall Bitcoin halving, there's difficulty for mining more Bitcoin, but that was from the expansion of Corsicana. So they have, just overall like close to about 29 exahash, including the Kentucky area with an additional 1.8 exahash. But back in 2023, they only had an operation of 12.4 exahash. So good news is that we do anticipate increase in Bitcoin throughput as the hash rate increases at the Corsicana site, Kentucky site, and then improvements at Rockdale with the replacements of their miner fleets. So I think as we head into December 2025, we're just going to see that Bitcoin produce increase while the revenue of Bitcoin will increase. That's going to bring in more cash flow, as well as, just operational efficiencies. And I think this is really going to show on their balance sheet when Q4 data is announced. And I think exciting things are happening at Corsicana because they haven't really tapped into that site. That's a new facility. It took about a year to get a portion of their operations running now at 12.9 exahash. But just think about how much a hash rate is going to come out from Corsicana once it's fully implemented. They also have the power credits that are in place depending on the season, but their overall average hash rate here is 25.8 exahash. Just with all-in costs you see here across the board here, but definitely fleet efficiency at 22.3 joules here. So just to give you some color on what we're dealing with the Riot here price, I think that from fundamentals and technical analysis, we shall see $18 in the month of December. And heading into like January onward, we can see that breakthrough of $28 onward. So that is my price forecast and updates on why I think Riot and other miner companies are a better buy than overvalued companies like MicroStrategy. I hope that you found this video valuable and would love to hear what your comments, questions, including price predictions